the whole idea of home work in progress came because I found that the construction industry is very fragmented, and people who have never done a construction project before often don't know where to start. And this brings us to the first myth of the day: is it's a small cottage, so it must be easier done than a bigger home, which is totally not true because it has all the same steps of any construction project. And often a lot of work is done before actual construction starts.
So there are, you'll hear these words in multiple places. There are three kinds of ADUs. The first one is what we call a garage conversion. A garage conversion is when you take an existing garage and kind of turn it into a habitable area where somebody can live. So the good news is the roof, the floor, the walls already exist. You don't have to make too many changes, assuming structural integrity, but you still have to build a kitchen, still have to build a bathroom, have the utility connections and so on. The second thing you'll hear about is a junior ADU. A junior ADU is basically carved out of an existing living space in the home. The limit of a junior ADU is 500 square feet. It cannot be any bigger than that by most city standards. It's again cheaper than building a detached ADU, which we'll talk about, because the floor already exists, the walls are already there. You still have to make sure there's a kitchen and a bathroom that's added to the junior ADU, and the utility connections are usually nearby. Especially if there's a bathroom or kitchen near the junior ADU. The most important thing to know about a junior ADU is you have to have the right flow in it, because you're basically separating a portion of your home. So you have to think about how would the resident of the ADU, whether a renter or a family member, how would they get into that junior ADU from outside, ideally from outside, but if it's a family member, from inside. So all those things have to be factored in. And then finally, we have a detached ADU, which is a completely separate structure. Usually it's in the backyard. Most cities will not allow you to build a detached ADU in the front yard. And that requires trenching from wherever you have electricity, water, and sewer connections. And it's like building a tiny home in the backyard. It requires all the same processes and the same construction practices. So those are the three key types of ADUs that you'll hear about.
Thank you, Kamal. And I think, Leila, if you can dive into the main step which you have to do when you start planning for an ADU. Leila, can you hear me?
So this is Build, and what Build does is it allows us to understand whether or not one can build an ADU on a particular property, and what the development standards are. So we're actually going to go back to the regular screen. I'll walk you through it, Alicia.
Okay.
And basically, you can type in an address or search on the map. So we're going to type in the address. The address we're going to use is 2015 Supreme. And you can just, click on that, Supreme Drive in San Jose. So this is a homeowner using it, or it could be city staff, it could be developers. We're partners with Veev, they use it. And essentially, it brings up your parcel right away. So on the right side is an image of the parcel. And then on the left side, it gives you a property overview, square footage, parcel number, lot size, square footage for the residents, which can be edited if you think that that's incorrect as far as the county records are concerned. And then at the bottom, you'll see it says, what's possible on my property? Let's go ahead and click on accessory dwelling unit and see what we can do there. So it says, is there a home located on this property? And there's multiple options, depending on what you select, that's what the response is. And the idea here is, in our systems, we take laws and regulations, in this case, specifically with regards to ADUs, not just the state rules, but in this case, San Jose's ADU regulations, and we build them right into the application. So let's go ahead and select single family residence, because that's what currently exists on the property. And we can do one of two things. We can take a look at general development standards. Now this will require a login, but basically when you click on this, if you don't have an account already set up, so what's basically hidden behind there, you can kind of get an idea of it, the property information. It's essentially a report that you can download and take it with you, give it to your developer, you can take it to the planning counter, when one day the planning counter is open again. But it can essentially give you detailed information on how big that ADU can be, how does it need to be set back from the property, all of the information that you need in that particular jurisdiction to build an ADU on your particular property. So it's taking the laws and it's analyzing them against your specific parcel. Now let's go ahead and hit the back button. Now let's click on design and see what happens here. So this is pretty interesting. We just launched this, and it's essentially a partnership with our ADU developers. And so, and just to make a quick announcement, Veev is going to be on here pretty soon too. So we've got, behind this sign-in page, we've got a number of ADU designs on the left-hand side of the panel. And you'll see that on the right side, just under the sign-in tab, that property is still highlighted. And what will happen is, as you mouse over those different ADU designs on the left-hand side, that particular footprint will be dropped right onto your parcel in the yard, for example, in the optimal position that it would be in order for the approval to take place.
So one thing that is interesting about our philosophy is we do everything. We do the permitting, we do the prefab manufacturing, we do the construction, and that we do the tie-ins with your electric and gas, or not gas, using your electric and water providers. We do the landscaping around the unit when it's done. We handle really everything start to finish. Some folks are in the blueprint business, or that's their model. Some people, you know, have the ideas, they bring the kit of parts, and then you get a contractor to put it together. That's their model. Our model is a soup to nuts model, where we deliver a fully furnished, equipped, ready to live in unit. It's our unit today is at 568 square feet, so we're just above the limit that Kamal was talking about for the junior ADU. Our design is extremely modern, and we use very particular materials, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. It comes integrated with, as a smart home, where you're able to, currently you're able to operate your lights, your door locks, and you will ultimately be able to also, oh, I'm sorry, your HVAC is also, you can control there. But eventually you'll be able to do more and more things with the app, because the Wi-Fi comes integrated into the unit, and it's all ready to go. So we will provide upgrades as those come. The other thing, it comes with a full kitchen, and energy efficiency is obviously, with my sustainability hat that I also wear, very important. You'll see that there are 12 solar panels on top of the unit, and that is part of our standard delivery. So the unit comes equipped with the solar panels ready to be connected. And it does generate not only, it generates enough power for the unit, but also can contribute power or energy back to the main home, depending on what the arrangement is for the ADU. If it's a family, you know, is using it, or you're renting it out, however, whatever the use case is. So we spend a lot of time on material selection, and we use something interior and exterior on our walls. Basically, it's a high performance surface. It's non-porous. It's weather and UV provides weather and UV protection. It is stain resistant and scratch resistant. It is non-odorous, meaning if you rent it out to somebody who likes to cook with a lot of heavy spices, and then in a couple months later, somebody else is renting it, and they're strict, you know, they're a very plain eater. You know, your drywalls and different pieces of your home absorb the odors in which you emit while you're using the unit. So that's one of the other reasons. And honestly, this wasn't the reason that we chose. It's the material is certified hygienic. So that means it, because of its non-porous nature, it will not promote the growth of mold, mildew, or bacteria. And coming out of this post-COVID-19 or any sort of pandemic world, that is particularly sounding appealing to people, much more so that wouldn't have been our #1 reason to choose Veev, but it's certainly servicing as something of great interest to people. This is the layout of our unit. It has a kitchen living area combined, a bathroom, 1 bedroom, and then a private deck off the bedroom. And I'll just share some pictures. Whoa, sorry, my computer is working without control here.
Everybody has AI now, so we shouldn't be surprised. They sometimes know better, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Computers and phones. Yeah.
So here's an interior view. The other thing that we're including in with the unit today is a living green walls, interior and exterior, to help improve the oxygen levels and retrieve some of the CO2 that gets in the air, and just it's aesthetically pleasing. Eventually, the exterior, we're working on actually a planner technology for the exterior. I'll talk about that in a little bit when I talk about what's coming in the future. And you can see to the left is the kitchen, and it has an induction cooktop. You can't see it, but there's a dual microwave convection oven. It comes with a dishwasher, a washer dryer, and a refrigerator. The restroom view, a bathroom view, and then the private deck out of the back. And we also have a way that we're looking at the future. So how do we take the ADU, and from a design and from a build perspective, imbue additional not only technology innovations, but the way in which we manufacture and construct, as well as what I'll call amenity improvements. And so this is just a quick video. This is a system we are developing internally. It's called Plug and Play, and you will hopefully be able to see it. There it goes. Where all of the electrical is built into the walls, and your MEP unit just comes in and is placed and plugs in everything at once. So you're not having to run additional wiring. Everything's done in advance and ready to go. And it's all low voltage. So it's very highly energy efficient. And this is something that we're working on today to get ready for the next wave. Other innovation possibilities, I talked about the vertical gardens. We're working on a technology where especially outside, depending on the lighting that you need and where you situate, but you can actually grow food in these gardens, and it will be I don't want to use the incorrect term, but the hydration, the watering system, and the drainage will all be self-contained and built in and reused. We're looking at, because of the material that we use, we can actually make it look like any surface that you could possibly want. So if your home has siding or stucco, or is wood cladded, we're working on the opportunities to make the exterior match the exterior of the main home. And then obviously future technology innovations and integrations, that as those things evolve and become part of our daily lives, we will continue to improve on those with remote mobile access and things like that. And that's all I have to share.
Well, no, maybe that's all you have to share, but we've got questions. I already have one question in the chat, and I think that's something you're mentioning, that the customization is coming, but right now, the unit that we see, that's what we get, right?
Correct. That's the unit this is what it looks like today.
And has it been already built somewhere?
So we have our alpha unit has been built and has been being used for about a year. We have 2 of those in East Palo Alto. This particular unit is being built in the fab today and will be installed in San Jose later in the summer.
Okay. Because I've also heard the good news today from John that actually the factory is open.
Oh yeah, we're back to business, which is great.
Yeah,
Kamal, you got to be happy about that too.
Everybody
Everybody is, we're back to work. So we were put on hold, and so all of our projects are ramping back up, which is wonderful news for us and for our customers for sure.
Yeah. Will you be able to mention the costs?
Sure. So the cost of the unit is $200,000, but that is including everything: your foundation, your construction. It's everything.
And I've also noticed that you're saying that you're using in-house teams. Does that mean the foundation and everything is done by?
Yes.
Will it be like the licensed contractor called Veev, or is it a different?
Yeah. We have a couple of contractors licenses in the company, and master electricians, and we do everything in-house. That's our model.
Kamal, can you give us your story, because you come from a completely different approach with more customization, with some modular technology, if I can mix it like this for now.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me quickly bring up my slides.
Mm-hmm.
Can you see my slide?
Yes.
So in terms of the background of the 2 key folks in the company, we have both come from high tech. Both of us have engineering backgrounds, as well as MBAs in finance. Interestingly enough, we went to the same business school, even though we didn't meet at that time. And we've both been involved with real estate in different ways, as homeowners, as investors, builders, or realtors, as you can see from Spencer's background. And then I've been a licensed general contractor. I was enjoying construction too much and building entire homes from scratch that I left the corporate world so that I could do construction full time, and it was a great decision. And then when we saw that ADUs were becoming interesting, we launched a separate company called SFBay.com, and then we've been building lots of ADUs in the Bay Area. At any given point in time, we are usually building 3 ADUs, and we usually have 7 or 8 ADUs in design. We also do full design work, as you'll see. Maybe I'll advance to the next slide. So what we figured is, construction is usually a difficult experience for most customers. How can we make it an experience that our customers would absolutely love? And coming from high tech, we figured out various ways to do that. Secondly, how can we make it a reliable experience for our customers? Once they engage with us, they know that things will happen. They know that they'll be successful. So that's the second perspective we took. And we wanted to offer customer delight and a lot of success. So we basically tuned everything around the design process, around the permit process, and around the construction process, so our customers can really have a good experience with this. As a result, if you look at our Yelp reviews, every customer has given us 5 stars. We don't even get 4 stars because customers have just enjoyed working with us with this process. And one part of it is we're a one throat to choke, as we say in the corporate world. When a customer engages with us, we do full design work. We prepare the full document set for them. We have about 400 ADU plans in our inventory. So from the first customer meeting, we can start putting plans in front of them of the given square footage that we are discussing. We do our homework. By the time we meet the customer, we already know which floor plans will likely work for them. And from the time we engage with them and show them floor plans, very, very quickly, we get an idea of what they want us to do. So basically, it speeds up everything, and the customers get what they want. The smallest ADU we've built is probably 600 square feet. The largest are about 1,200 square feet. So we operate within that range. And having built homes, the size of it doesn't matter. We can do anything. And in addition to that, we do all the finishes. We have partnerships in place for things that we don't do, such as surveyors, soils engineers, Title 24 folks, structural engineers. So as we need these additional services, there's no guesswork on our part. There's no risk to the customer. We bring in partners that have proven themselves already with us on multiple projects. So that's one way we make this happen. We always encourage our customers to first start thinking about their budget, because what happens is you can think and design anything you want, and then you realize that you don't have the budget for it. You've wasted your own time and you've wasted a bunch of other people's time. So we start giving customers a perspective on the budget. We start educating them on the budget having 3 different elements: a designer and architect cost, if it's a separate designer or separate architect they want to work with, the permit fees they have to pay to the city, and construction costs. And then we go into more detail. What are the factors that affect the construction costs? Is it better to build a smaller ADU or a larger ADU, assuming you can vary the size depending on what your lot allows? And then our recommendation always is build the largest allowable ADU that your city would allow, so you'll have the lowest dollar per square foot number. And once you start that, find the most reliable general contractor you can find that can build within your budget, that can build within your schedule, and offer you a great experience in the meantime.
And I think this also brings us to something that you've mentioned during our last conversation, that people come to expect the same square foot cost for the ADU as for the bigger house. And it's always a very dangerous way to go, because the whole lot of utilities which goes over the big house, it's still the same package. You still need power, you still need water, you still need septic, but now it's on the small footprint, right? So I'm sure you've had a lot of conversations with customers about it.
I wish somebody paid me a penny each time we have this conversation. That would be another $1 billion stream for me, income stream for me. You know, a customer comes and this is the first question they ask is, what's the dollar per square footage for the ADU? And my answer usually is, yes, I can give you an answer, but what context do you have? What are you going to compare that to? Because most people are saying, well, I can build a home for X dollar per square foot, and then the ADU number, you know, if the ADU is smaller, that number is higher, and the customers don't really understand how that works. So we spend a lot of time educating that. So let's give you a couple examples. Let's say you are building 1 kitchen and 1 bathroom in 2 ADUs. One ADU is 400 square foot, one ADU is 800 square feet. And let's say they're situated the same distance from the primary home. So all the stuff you do in terms of what I call fixed costs, which is bringing utilities to the ADU, building that 1 kitchen, building that 1 bathroom, in terms of dollar per square foot, it's twice as expensive for the 400 square foot ADU than for the 800 square foot ADU. And of course, it's cheaper the bigger the ADU gets. And that's the key message I want to drive home, which is the smaller the ADU, the higher these fixed costs become. And when you compare these costs, don't compare these dollar per square foot number to a home you may have built or a home your friend may have built. Compare this to an ADU that somebody has built. Now it's a real apples to apples comparison, and that's a comparison that makes sense.
Thank you. And I think now you can actually share the video so that you don't spend as much time talking through this again, right? I'll share it with you later on. But jokes aside, there are questions about how long does it take. Kelly, if we can kind of go back to you for a second and see how long does it take if we were to start talking with you guys about building an ADU and we are kind of happy with the design, how long would it take from today to get the Veev into the backyard?
So the simple answer is it depends. And the reason it depends is not because of us. It depends on the city or municipality that you're looking to build your ADU in. We are in an NTA permitted process and a blanket permit process with the city of San Jose right now. So if you're in San Jose, and assuming that all goes through the way that we're planning, then that would go very quickly, because for us, as you mentioned, John told you, we're back up and running, the fab is going. So that's one scenario. The other scenario is you're in, I don't know, Alameda County, and they haven't expedited their process. So the permitting is a significant factor in some cases.
Yeah, but fortunately also the state is pushing every town hall these days.
They are, but
I know. Yes, go. Let's hear it in your own words.
Well, the implementation of that is taking on various forms. I mean, some people are embracing it. San Jose is a city that just is totally embracing the opportunity to do this. Redwood City is also another city that's being pretty aggressive. And then there are others who are dragging their feet in any way that they can. And I see you nodding, Kamal, so you also probably have experienced the same thing. We'll get there, and let's be also frank, the COVID-19 situation has slowed everything down. Intentionally, you know, even the permitting process is slowed down even slower than even if it was fast because of the nature of how people are working today. So it's getting better, and like I said, some cities are embracing it and running with it, and we'll do the one-day turnaround once you get the blanket approval for your design. Kamal, you probably have a challenge when you're doing multiple designs, you know, sort of a more custom approach. So I'll let you answer the question from your perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can bring up a slide as well that will also help.
Yeah, go.
There we go. So basically for us, every project is a custom project. You know, we have over 400 floor plans. We've built most of them. We provide unlimited customization for every plan. So basically every plan becomes a custom plan. And that helps us, you know, respond to our customers with whatever their needs are with perspective to the ADU. And in terms of how the timeline works, once we engage with the customer, it takes us 2 weeks to 2 months for a design, because depending on who the customer is, they may tweak things a lot. In some cases, customers have had as many as 20 revisions or 21 revisions for a design, and we accommodate that within reason. And once we submit the plans to cities, state law says an ADU permit should be accepted or denied within 60 days.
With one caveat, if the application is deemed complete,
Correct.
And I think that's an important small print, as they call it, right?
Correct. And that's what happens. We are seeing a bunch of cities even now, even after passage of the state law and the state law being enacted on the 1st of January 2020, we're still seeing some cities taking 4 months to grant ADU permits. And that's not good for the customer, of course. Pardon me. So once the permits are granted, it takes us 4 to 5 months of doing the construction from breaking ground. And that's really the full timeline. So we tell our customers that it's about a 7-month engagement, start to finish.
Because it's still, we're calling it what it is. I mean, it's an ADU, and why confuse? It's such a nascent part of the marketplace for housing and construction right now, that to try and call it something that's catchy or cute, it just, from a brand perspective, which is, I'm going to put my brand hat on, it just doesn't make sense. We need to all educate the marketplace on what we're doing and who's doing it, and to do something other than that, it could just add confusion where we don't want confusion. We have a warranty on our product, obviously, and we have tested we have tested not only the materials that we use, but the methodologies and practices that we employ to construct and install the ADU. And we have founders who are incredibly proud of quality. They look at living and the philosophy of exceptional living, regardless of where you're living, for all. So the quality is unbelievable. I mean, we're using the material in our high performance surface is a material that you often only see in $10 million homes. There is no change order. That's why it's an all-inclusive price for permits to handing you the keys and planting your flowers around the unit. We do not, there's nothing to change in this unit. We are going, we furnish it. It comes with the appliances and installed. We will probably, part of that customization packet will be different palettes to choose from. We've selected items that are coordinated with the unit, are of the quality that we would want in our own homes, quite frankly, and it'll fit in the space and allow for the comfort that you should enjoy while you're in the space. That's what the storage, we have a lot of built-in storage, so you don't have to have a lot of additional furniture.
So right now there's just one color palette.
Yep.
That's what you get. Okay.
Yeah.
Just wanted to make sure that everybody understands, because it's, you know, like everybody's saying that they're one-stop shop, but every shop is different. So,
yeah. No, it's a totally fair point, and that's our shop, is that one stop all the way through.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Sites with slope, and there are different ways to deal with it, but the one thing that is common for those sites that it is usually more expensive than on a flat lot.
It's not an additional charge for us.
There you go. Can an ADU be built with an attached garage? Kamal, I think it's only for you, because Kelly's going like, Kamal, answer.
Well, I know it can be, but I'm not the one who's going to build it. Kamal is.
Yeah, I mean, the question is the ADU on the same floor as the garage? Of course, that's easy. Is the ADU above the garage? Yes, that's possible. So do you want to build an ADU and the garage together? That's possible. So yes, absolutely. You can have a 2-story ADU if the primary dwelling is 2 stories. If the primary dwelling is not 2 stories, you cannot have a 2-story ADU. Basically, the city doesn't want you building a tower in the backyard.
For the neighbors to enjoy. The neighbors will not like it.
Exactly.
But I think this kind of touches on what you wanted to share as well about working with the town.
Got it. Yeah, let me share one more thing also, one more slide. Something important is, first of all, can you see my slide?
Yes.
Something else that's important, that's part of the process, is working with your planning and building departments of your city. So I have some do's and don'ts for you to consider as you do that, having worked with planning and building departments in multiple cities. Most important thing is to follow city rules and not to ask for exceptions. Why that is because cities have established black and white rules. They don't want me coming in and asking for exception on rule 1. They don't want Kelly coming in tomorrow asking for exception to rule 2, and Alyssa coming day after tomorrow asking for exception to rule 3. Pretty soon they wouldn't know how to arbitrate. They wouldn't know who to allow an exception to, who not to allow. So to keep it really simple, they said, well, here are the rules. And thanks to websites now, the rules are basically on the websites. Here are the rules. These are black and white. Don't ask for exceptions. There are very few cities that will give you exceptions, and they'll tell you what you have to give up in order to get an exception. So all those details are there. The other good pointer for you is if you work with cities where they have a certain department that works with ADUs, then you know they've worked with ADUs before and they likely understand the rules of ADUs in that city. San Jose being an example, ADU LI is a part of the San Jose planning and building departments that focuses only on ADUs. So they know these things. When ADUs were new and we were taking plans into the planning and building departments, often enough cities didn't even know what the maximum allowable height was for ADUs. And they were struggling. Then the building inspector would show up. They wouldn't know what the maximum allowable height for ADUs would be. They would tag the project and create trouble for us. So that's why it's always helpful to work with people who know ADUs, especially if your city has an ADU department. Secondly, understand what the city requires at each stage. As part of the planning review and comments back from the planning review, then the building department review and so on, understand what documents they need, understand what fees have to be paid, and you can understand all that up front because it's documented somewhere. And most recently, with the lockdown and shelter in place, cities are finally accepting electronic submissions. So you don't have to kill trees and print plans and multiple copies of the plans. Now you can do electronic submissions. It's both good and bad. Some cities are more responsive. In some cities, they give you a generic email address and the plans go into a bid bucket, as we say, and you don't know what happened to the plans. So you have to keep following up. And finally, don't lose your patience. It takes a long time. And in the past, in certain cities, you could go to the city office and spend the whole day there just to try to deposit a check, just to try to get a question answered. So that really is a test for your patience. But now with electronic submissions, hopefully that's become easier. So understand the city fees, don't ask for exceptions, understand the whole process, and then you can make things happen.